How you doing?
Fantastic.
Fantastic.
I hope you have a good day.
Hope you have a better week.
I hope your month is full of successful days and a lot of great ventures. I hope you just come up, brother.
I hope your whole fucking year is spectacular.
Oh, you hope my year is spectacular?
Yeah.
You got something you want to say?
You got something?
One ugly motherfucker.
My name is Sarah Connor. I changed the future. I am gonna kill Bill.
Mission accomplished!
Guns. Lots of guns.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
What up, family? It's your boy Amarú, and we have made it. We are here. We are at the end of our second annual character tournament, however you want to call it. We've been going through a bracket full of our favorite action hero characters, and we are finally at the end. We got all our finalists, and last week we had a wild card round to get two more people as either second chance finishers or wild cards to join the final four. John Wick and John McClane came in to join our 80s winner, Dutch, our 90s winner, Sarah Connor, our 2000s winner, Beatrix Kiddo, aka the Bride, and our 2010s winner, Ethan Hunt, to have our final six. Our final six, epically hard to decide which one's got to stay finale for our one action hero tournament. But that's not really the main reason you're here. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I don't know. But I'm here for these beautiful, beautiful people. Back after a week hiatus, Matt came in for her last week. She's back to being white and from Boston, no longer black, and from Cleveland. That would be one. Paige Frabetti. Paige, how you doing?
Oh man, it's so lovely to be back. Finally moved into my new place so I can use my same setup, but I'm ready to do this.
I was going to say that had to get the move in. I'm glad that that's over. Thank you for being here. But on the other side of you, with by far the coolest thing in the background that I always ask, what in the world is that? It looks cool as hell. But back again, he was on the first show of the year, and now he's back. One, Mr. Andy Merryweather from Settle the Score. Andy, how are you feeling, sir?
I'm good, thank you. It's pretty late here, so any fact checking that is needed on my end is purely down to the time zone issue. But I'm excited. I saw the lineup today, and not only am I the who the hell is that guy part of this panel, but also the I feel like aren't these the elite of kind of movie debate. So anyway, I'm happy to be here as the other half of Settle the Score. I did watch Matt Nost in the 2010s version. That's what he was on, right?
Yes.
And yeah, so it's you know, I'm proud of the fact that the show is being represented in that way. And yeah, I'm happy to get into it. The sooner the better, really, I guess.
Yeah, thank you for coming on. I will say he talks everybody else up, and he absolutely murdered the composers one we had at the beginning of the year. I wouldn't be surprised if we get a note or two coming in from the piano. Just find a way to get that in. Find a way.
To be fair, as Matt pointed out, I had a huge advantage in the score one because I was able to play the scores that I cared about and then not play the ones that I was dismissing. In this one, I'm not entirely certain how the piano is going to help me, you know, sort of affirm my list, but we'll see how I get on.
You just use it to drown out your opponents.
That's true. What did you say?
Playing them off stage.
Yes. Under him, we had his other half at the beginning of the tournament, so now he is ending it. One, the dangerous, the box office guru himself, one, Mr. Dan Murrell. Dan, thank you so much for coming on. Our CEO, Nick, basically said, if we don't get Dan Murrell on before the end of the year, you're fired. So thank you for saving my job. I appreciate it.
I had no idea those were the stakes, or I would have said yes sooner. I'm sorry. I did not realize your job was on the line.
It wasn't, but I just say he's very happy that you were on. I am very happy that you were on. How are you feeling about what's in front of you?
I mean, these wonderful six people are the six people that we have to choose from. I mean, they're both a great group. Either way you cut it.
Either way you cut it, it is. So I appreciate you being here. Next to you, she has become a regular. I always love when she is on. I'll tell you, the last time she was on, it was the most animated I'd seen her. So I hope it comes right back because, yes, she does debate her behind off. Jeannine Brice, Jeannine the Machine, how are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me back. This was so tough. So this is going to be a fun one. I'm really excited to see what everyone else picked. So let's go.
Yeah. And last but not least, he was on the finale of the Geek one last year. So I had to bring him back again, or he just is nice enough to just say yes when I ask. So I appreciate it. We had to have a Usual Suspects reunion. We had Frankie last week, so we finished it off here. The Inglorious one. Samm Levine.
Hello.
Sam,
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. I'm wonderful.
At least this movie's like you really like this time.
These are very fun, enjoyable movies.
Is Sam in any of these movies that we should know about? Because that could wager his decisions, I feel like.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so.
I don't believe so either, but it's all right. But yeah, as Andy said, the sooner the better. So let's just get it started. And I'm gonna kick this one off. I'm going to go with my number 4. You all said it. This is a very hard list. It is a finale for a reason. And I'm just going to say I got to rip the Band-Aid off. I'm not happy I put this person here. But based on what I've done before and the way I have it, I had to put John McClane at number 4. Look, I absolutely
starting off with a miserable failure. All right, go ahead.
It is a miserable failure in my heart. It is absolutely like he is one of the most charismatic, one of the just best. I tend to lean towards action comedy a little bit, or more of the like regular guy, and he is the epitome of the regular guy. But with him compared to who I have in front, it really was just, and it's gonna be weird to say, it's cool factor. And I don't know how you beat cool factor for John McClane, but there's just the people in front have something just a tad bit more to me.
Well, they're all like fictional cool. He's like real world cool.
I guess. Yes, he is.
He's real. He's down to earth. He stepped up to the plate.
Yeah. You booted it. You booted it.
I did. I'm so sorry. I am very, very sorry about that. But I had no other choice. I really. Is anybody else here with me? Is anybody else?
I'm with you. Listen, I'm not gonna swing in the wind like you are, like a pair of trousers hanging in the breeze. No, I listen. This is a very difficult job that we have to do here, and I'm not going to give away my rankings, but I will say I also found some separation points when it came to John McClane. So I'm not going to let them take you to task for this completely, because this is a tough job. It's a tough job. 6 great folks to talk about here. And so, I think that there's a case to be made here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm with you. Thank you for not leaving me out to dry. I appreciate it. But I'm gonna just let you continue, so you can like just take the brunt of whatever going on. Who is your number 4?
Yes, everybody can get mad at me. Like I said, I would have advocated for any of these 6 probably if I were in those particular brackets. But now that we are in the winner's bracket, you have to sort of find those separation points. So my 4th choice was The Bride, Beatrix the Bride Kiddo. Wow. She is a wonderful character. I love both of those movies. Like I say, it really comes down to small things. And so, I have to say with her, looking at the totality of all the different factors I was trying to parse through, cinematic number of movies, how much I like the movies, the actions that were taken in those movies, character motivation, all of it. Somebody had to end up in 4th place. So as much as I love this creation of Q and U, which is a great credit at the end of the movie, I had to put The Bride 4th only because it was hard for me to put her ahead of the 3 that are on my list at 1, 2, and 3.
That seems to be like what's going to be the running thing here. Though I know everybody's list, and I am just like the amount of variety here. Okay, sure. I'm not understanding some of these choices, but you know what? It's fine. It's what you pick. And I guess for Beatrix, it is she does only have one really, really long movie. So compared to others, I don't know. Does any
one
He says
really
it's one,
long
so-
movie that's amazing. And you know what, guys? Whatever. I'm just gonna send her over and have her do that 5-point palm exploding heart technique on you guys because you guys are
I'll never get out of my chair, so you know I win. I'll
There you
just
go.
never walk. I'll just sit in my chair for forever.
does anybody else have the bride at number 4?
No, because we're not crazy.
exactly.
Exactly. So Paige, you know what? Your turn then. Your turn. You keep it going. You tell us who you have at number 4.
All right. Well, this might be a hot take, but I do love this person. But I'm going with Sarah Connor.
You saved her last time. What are you doing?
Know, but this list is hard, okay? And when it came down to it for me, I looked at it as in the first film, she's not the she is a hero, but she's not the action hero in the first film. And I guess that was my takeaway from it, that she in the second film she is, and then in Dark Fate she is. But to me, she has the help of this robot dude, and she just uses a lot of big machine guns. Like I need to see some more crazy stuff besides those amazing gun she has on her biceps. But
she's kind of complicated-ish. But I did talk a lot of mess about her last episode. I thought she just kind of out of her mind.
I mean, she is, but in a good way. But at the same time, not in a good way. So, action hero. She's got the action. She did help. Well, someone helped her save the world. So she wasn't the one doing it all on her own. So,
does anybody else have Sarah Connor at number 4?
I do as well.
Hey,
and
women,
it's not
this is women on women crime here.
I'm literally wearing a Sarah Connor shirt right now. I love her. But like she kind of needed a lot of help. Like I don't think she would have been able to do what she needed to do without some help. So I feel like there are some other action heroes on this list that kind of did it for the most part on their own. And so because she needed help, because she also kind of buckles under the fear that she has and resentment that she has, it gets in her way sometimes. It needs to be talked off ledges at moments. But I do put her at 4 also in the positive bracket because I think, to me, instead of cool factor, for me, it's cooler that she doesn't have all this crazy training. She had to get herself there. She had to train herself to be this badass. And even we see it at the end of the first movie when she's kind of telling Kyle Reese, to get up, soldier, and that we're seeing the beginning stages of her becoming this badass person. So yeah, I think it's just because she needed a lot of help and because she kind of lets her emotions get in the way of what she needs to do and kind of needs somebody to talk her down. That's why I put her at 4.
What she said. Did it a lot better, but yes.
What she said.
That pull-up scene, though, one of my favorite action hero intro scenes in Terminator 2, the first time when we see her, she's on the bed. Just
yes.
That stare with the doctor. She's like, good morning, Dr. Silverman. Oh, that's so great.
Are we only counting Linda Hamilton?
Because she was going a little crazy. But
we are counting all of the characters, so that would also include one Miss Amelia Clark, who is a lot of action.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
When did that happen? Did that even happen?
Never mind. Never mind. We're only including Linda Hamilton. She's the only Sarah Connor that ever exists. Unless who played her in Sarah Connor Chronicles?
Lena Headey.
She counts. She counts.
Wow, I did not know.
Yeah.
Not to be confused with Lena Headley. Lena Headley's sister.
Exactly. But you know what, Sam? Keep it going though. It's on you, sir.
All right,
here we go.
Now, a few themes have come up so far explaining what basis we used to create our rankings. Jeannine's already said it. You've already said it, but I'm gonna say my number 4 was Ethan Hunt.
Oh my God!
For not dissimilar reasons. Ethan Hunt is only as good as his team helps him to be. Ethan Hunt's great on his own, but does he save the world on his own? He does not.
But does he attach himself to airplanes by himself? Yes. Does he jump off cliffs by himself? Yeah.
Sure,
Did
but
you
who
leave him
gave
at
him
the
the
end?
parachute? Who gave him the sticky hands? He's got
That's true.
How would he have gotten in that door without Benji?
He's
Hanging
got
off of that plane.
IMF backing him up with tools and
Yeah,
stuff.
that's fair. That is fair.
I'm not saying he's not great. He's not
Ethan-
5 or 6. I'm just saying.
Ethan's consideration and care for his team are the reason he's not my number 4. In fact, it's a positive for me.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
I will say, yeah, I'm not going to say where he is, but he was not my number 4 either. The team thing I did think about. However, scale was also a consideration for me. And so that's what perhaps kept him out of the number 4 spot. But yes, the team thing is definitely a consideration. So I see the thinking there, but I do think perhaps you're underrating him just a bit.
Yes, and his stakes are always a bit higher than everyone else's on this list. I think he always ends up with the highest stakes of what he needs to
And
accomplish.
with zero gratitude.
Don't get me wrong. I love the Mission Impossible movies.
I think
Evidently not.
you're drinking too much funny wine over there.
I'm just saying a legitimate conversation could be had. Hey, who's your favorite person on Ethan's IMF team? And it might not be Ethan.
It might not be him.
But you'd have to call it Ethan's team, I guess is the point.
Oh, fine. Okay, who's your favorite person in Ocean's 11? Is it Danny? Just because your name's in the title, just because it's called Dave Matthews Band, doesn't mean there's not other guys in it, Andy.
I'm not saying there's not other people in it, but
can you name those other guys?
Yeah, I was gonna say, can you name anybody else in that band?
Boyd, someone. I think he's the guy that plays the fiddle. And then the rest of the band and Dave Matthews.
His name is Dave Jr.
Okay.
Well, Andy, you're the last one up for your number 4s, and I'm guessing you don't have Ethan. So who do you have as your number 4?
Well, my list is not, for me, when I looked at the list and started figuring out where everyone would go, it wasn't this smooth gradient from 6 to 1. Mine has a definitive line right through the middle. The bottom 3 I care less about, and that is with the caveat of obviously these are all great and whatever, and I don't need to justify myself because they're not real, not going to come for me. But the bottom 3 I care less about. The top 3 I care more about. And in those 3s, it was about then figuring out where they are placed. And then it came down to criteria. And of the bottom 3, which obviously we'll get to in full, the one that topped the bottom 3 purely on one basis alone of those bottom 3 was Dutch. And basically he's the top of the 3 that I care less about than the top 3. But what the hell was
Some ghost doesn't like your answer to that question.
No, that is insane. I just moved by. Literally right behind me is a train station. I apologize. I
didn't like your answer, Andy.
Tom Cruise is driving a train through Sam's house right now.
Yes, he is.
Looking you out for your nonsense for putting Dutch at
Keep watching.
4.
You'll see Ethan Hunt running.
Yeah.
Right behind.
The other day.
So I guess the reason Dutch is the highest of the bottom 3, the positive, is that in terms of the criteria, the main criteria, which is one has to stay, there's a part of me somewhere here, a tiny piece, that would be intrigued by seeing Dutch again, maybe, as opposed to the other 2 that are below him. But the reason he's in the bottom 3 are that he didn't fit the other criteria, and one of the criteria that he didn't fit was vulnerability on show. So I don't think Dutch shows off enough vulnerability compared to the top 3. And if you look up the, Dutch or Predator or whatever, meme, the photo of the arms like this, I always think about this, that when that comes up, is that the framing of that being just on the biceps is because there is a tether, like not a scientific or biological tether. It's some mentality that guys can't tense their muscles and not look. So every guy that's ever lifted his bicep has looked at it. He's had to make sure that the bicep's actually there, right? So off screen, outside of that framing,
ladies.
yeah, there you go. You still glance, but off screen, just outside of that frame, are two guys just looking down with their puckered lips, admiring their own bicep, and I think that ruins that moment. So yeah, just a little. It's just there's a part of me that would be intrigued to see Dutch again, but that slips him to up to 4 basically from how much I give a damn, which is very little.
But isn't he the only one that has killed an alien?
I don't have that as
On
part of
this
my
list,
criteria.
I think so.
I don't care. Yeah, I don't care either, but I will never look at that scene the same way ever again.
Wait, I thought the Predator was from Cleveland.
He could have been.
Original.
Originally, I wouldn't be surprised. Would not be
Somewhere
surprised
in
at all.
the Lake Erie area, Lake Erie adjacent. I always thought I got to rewatch those movies. I guess
Something like that. But yeah, that scene is now forever. I'm going to be looking at the side and saying, are they looking at their arms or at each other from here on out? But quick recap of our number 4s. So I got rid of John McClane for I'm Sorry. Dan got rid of The Bride. Sam did a thing and got rid of Ethan. Paige and Jeannine got rid of Sarah Connor, and Andy got rid of Dutch at number 4. So we're going to keep this train moving, and we're going to go over to Jeannine. Jeannine, who's your 3?
So my 3 is actually Dutch.
We're just going to keep pouring it on this man.
Yes. I mean, I love the combination of brains and brawn with him, having to like study the Predator and figure out how to defeat it. But ultimately, again, I took into account the stakes. All of these other people kind of have some stakes. He's just on his own trying to protect himself, whereas we have some other people who were trying to protect others, save others. So it was very kind of a singular action situation for him. So that's the only thing that really put him not higher up on my list, was the fact that we have other people who really were out to save more people, and he was just kind of trying to survive.
I'll say this. I'm a little surprised he's here for my own personal reasons that will be like known a little bit later. But what about everybody else? Did anybody else have Dutch at number 3?
Jeannine, I think you and I might have like the same list or like the same ideas going into this, because I do as well. And it's kind of like what you said. I mean, also, though, he is the only one that has killed an alien. And he did kill, I mean, he didn't kill the alien to save like humanity. But in the end, if he didn't do that,
then maybe.
Who knows what could have happened. But at the end of the 2, I put him at number 3 because he only has one film. And I think maybe if he was in more within the franchise, he would possibly be a little bit higher. But due to that being only in one film, that's why he's granted where he is.
Yeah. And also everyone has some kind of idea of what they're up against. He does not. So for him to have to step into that situation and figure it out, I think that speaks to,
I mean, he
his
eventually
ability
figures
to
out what he's up against. No.
I mean, it takes some time. I don't think anyone else has to face off against an alien.
I mean, so let's say that.
I mean, he's not over here getting a dossier telling him all about the alien.
Sure,
but
making
it that much easier for him to defeat.
But
it.
if his mission if his mission failed, if his goal of killing this alien predator fails, what do you think that predator's going to do? He's going to get in his little ship. And he's just going to go hunt some more. It's not like he had a political agenda.
You never know, man.
We don't know that.
I mean,
they didn't have when they spoke, so we didn't know what those predators were saying to us.
Those guys are the big game hunters of the universe. That's all.
Paige, this inevitably happens once a show, and I run with it. But you sure you want to check your list again?
Oh no!
Yeah, because it happens everyone. So that's not really your 3, but it's okay. I'm gonna let you run with it because it happens every single
You're
time.
Right? That's hilarious. I did
Just
not
double check that real quick. But we know where Dutch kind of might be. But that's all right because we know you didn't save him. But we'll save your actual number 3 a little later. It's okay.
Guys,
it's okay.
I'm tired. Just throwing that out there. Maybe I just like Jeannine's tactics. So I was like, I wouldn't agree with whatever she says.
I appreciate
Did you hear that, Andy? She's tired. He's a little late for her.
Listen up, guys. It's 8:32. My bedtime is in 28 minutes. Just
I mean,
throwing it
Paige,
out.
How
I don't
early
know
she
how
was
you
up this
could
morning,
have.
caring for that baby?
I got a
I don't
train
know,
going by here at 5:55 every morning, okay?
I don't know how you could have mixed up telling people what your fourth person gone at number 3 going second was, Paige. It's
Exactly.
a very clear system.
Exactly. It's so clear. So very, very clear.
Your fourth one gone at number 3.
Well, if no clear winner
Yes.
emerges, a two-man sack race will be held on the 15th Sunday.
You know, I just liked what Jeannine was saying. So there's that.
Jumped on it. Okay.
And a quick behind the scenes, I think at least 3 times a week, this happens in the Bitesize Breakdown chat. These 2 words. Every time. Just for one reason or another. Dan is also gonna behind the scenes and how complicated it is every time I send people like the criteria about. I really hope they get this. So Dan, I hope you got it because your number 3 is up, sir.
All right. I think I'm giving you my number 3.
Maybe I'll agree with what you say this time.
Very similar to Paige and Jeannine as far as ranking goes. My number 3, as in my fourth one gone, was Sarah Connor. Again, it's a game of inches here when you're getting into the top 3. There was a little bit of a length of franchise and quality of franchise consideration. Although she was thankfully, because I don't acknowledge Emilia Clarke having played Sarah Connor. I did not dislike Terminator Dark Fate. I did not think that it measured up to Terminator 2 in any meaningful way, but I did not dislike that movie necessarily.
One of the better sequels for sure.
One of the better sequels. I mean, that's faint praise, but one of the better sequels. So but it's very Terminator 2 heavy. As far as action hero stuff, it is very Terminator 2 heavy, and she's great in that movie. I just think when I was looking at the overall resume of everybody else, I couldn't put her any higher than number 3. Having said that, though, I mean, the complication with her, she is so complicated versus some of the other people that are even on this list, just as far as her motivations and her psyche and what she's fighting for, and the whole should I kill this guy for the greater good, and she basically gives up her entire life to save the world, and I think she should have. I think Terminator 2 should have been it, but that's a whole other conversation. But yeah, so again, no slam on Sarah Connor here. It was just looking at the full resume. I couldn't put her higher than 3. But respect to Linda Hamilton and that character, because they are both action movie icons.
Yes.
Yes. Does anybody else have Sarah Connor at their number 3? Oh.
Somebody at your door?
Yeah, I do.
I was knocking on someone's door, and I was like, "That's ominous."
There was a moment there when if people watch this on a replay, where I realized my right hand wasn't in the right place, and I wanted to keep looking at camera and like being cool, and I had to go, "Oh shit," like that. Yes, I also have Sarah Connor. So this is the bottom of my top 3 that I talked about. It was very tough because I have a lot of affection for Sarah Connor, and I guess there are just reasons why she fell to 3. So like we've talked about, there are other people that played her and not as well. Obviously Linda Hamilton will be synonymous with Sarah Connor for me, but it just came down for just descending into the particulars. She had sex with someone who was born in 2002. I think that's creepy. She's a bad mother. Bad mother, kind of crazy. I do like the fact that she breathes up into her hair for effect. But yeah, I do love Sarah Connor, but I don't have as an affection for Dutch, and she's got a metal one looking after her. So it just slips. But it's still like on another list, she's number 1. That's where we're at here.
Literally, that's exactly how she got here. She was number 1 on the other list to get up here. So if nobody else has that at number 3, we'll go back to Sam. Sam, you're number
3.
Yes.
All right. Controversial. John Wick.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
No controversial, because this is actually my number 3 too. I
all right.
right this time,
Okay,
guys.
so
This is
then
my
you already
actual-
know this. Look, here's the thing. John Wick is undoubtedly a killing machine, but he relies heavily on guns, and those guns have to be supplied to him by Lawrence Fishburne. And he relies, here's the thing for me that couldn't get him any higher than 3. And I love John Wick. I love the movies. I think he is an absolute badass of a character. And especially given that his original motivation is to avenge the killing of his precious pet. I'm on board with that 100%.
Mm-hmm.
However, in his universe, he has the Continental. Can you imagine if in the middle of Predator, Dutch was like, just give me a second, Mr. Predator. I'm going to go recharge at the Continental. Can we get a quick timeout? I'm just going to go recharge my batteries, get some better equipment.
Like when they cut the camera in Bear Grylls.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah.
He's
Like,
gonna go put his bulletproof suit on real quick.
Yeah,
Like, he's
so
got that-
Which is cool.
like the Continental, as great a cinematic element and backstory as it is, where it's like, oh no, this is a safe zone. There is no killing on the Continental grounds. You can have total peace of mind here. What action star gets total peace of mind at any point in the adventure we are watching them on? And again, because I love the character, that's why he got ranked as high as he did, in spite of the sanctity and safety of the Continental being offered to him. Scene.
You gotta admit though, the Continental is still cool as shit. But
It's a
Paige,
great concept.
great concept. Paige, you also had John Wick at number 3.
Let me double check. Yes, I definitely did. So don't get me wrong, like being number 3 on this list is like great, because these like 6 people that we're talking about today deserve to be where they are in this ranking. But yeah, for me, it just went down to action hero, and he's only who is he saving besides himself? He's doing all of this just to save his own ass. He's not a hero. Like, he's an action dude, but he's not really a hero per se. But I mean, yeah, that's where I fall with that one. Like, he is badass. Like, he could probably beat majority of the people on this list besides Sarah Connor and The Bride. But
That's half the people on this list though.
Yeah,
and I think, Paige, you're right on that. Like, people probably forget because we've never seen it, but like before he retired and got out, John Wick was in fact a gun for hire, a paid hitman.
Yeah.
So he definitely killed a lot of innocents. So
exactly, he wasn't saving the day; he was doing the killing. So
yes.
But in the movies, he was saving the day. I'm the last one here, so I may or may not. I have John Wick at number 3 as well. Unfortunately, I was going very hard for him on the last 2 weeks because he was in 2010s and he was in the second chance bracket. But here, so Keanu Reeves, cool as shit. I think John Wick saying like 30 words in 4 movies is cool as shit. Swords, fire-breathing shotguns, dogs, nunchucks, hammers, horses, all those things is what got me to say he is slightly cooler than John McClane. But I don't know how you can do that and at the same time still somewhat be one-dimensional. It makes no sense. But if I have to say somebody is one-dimensional in like it's John Wick. I'm not justifying that. It just makes sense in my head that he is a bit. And again, everything here is going to hurt my heart because these are all people I was vouching for very, very hard for the past 6 weeks. So I'm sad. I'm very sad about it. But that is what's in my head. And so he had to be number 3 because comparing the other two, it was just like Andy said he had like a quick division, top 3, bottom 3. My division was top 4. Any of the 4 could be number 1, and then the bottom 2 were easily my bottom 2. So it came down to that. That's what it was. So now we are here at our 3s, where me, Sam, and Paige got rid of the man that says all the time. If you haven't seen the side-by-side Matrix and John Wick guns Lots of Guns thing. Please go see that. It's hilarious. Dan and Andy have Sarah Connor, and Jeannine got rid of Dutch. So now we're going to get over to our 5s and 6s. But before I do, please, if you haven't, please like this video, share this video, subscribe, and check out a lot of reviews we have on Bitesize Breakdown. We just released Secret Invasion as well as Haunted Mansion yesterday. I got an early screening to Randall Park's directorial debut, Shortcoming. So that review for that movie is out today. In addition, one of the gentlemen on this bracket you see here, a couple of the gentlemen, we have a giveaway to get a 4K Ultra Blu-ray for Fast 10, however you want to say it. The contest ends tomorrow. All you got to do, subscribe to this channel, follow Twitter, and quote tweet with your favorite family and movies. So do that by tomorrow if you'd like to win that. But now,
I'll still never forgive them for not calling it Fast 10-year seatbelts. I mean,
it's a slam dunk.
It was right there. It really was right there.
Missed opportunity.
It really was. So now
right
we're
there
going to get
with Now You Don't. Right there with Now You Don't.
Right there.
Now you don't. In front of your faces, y'all. In front of your faces. But we're going to get into our 5 and 6s. And for me, it was why is that not? Can y'all see that? Or
no. I see a big screen.
What is happening? What is happening? Now StreamYard wants to be weird. Let's try that again in this way. Oh no, it's blank. What are you doing?
There was a loading wheel there.
Oh, there was a loading wheel. Thank you, because now I'm just like, no.
Oh wow.
It was
how can
like
we
2
be able
seconds
to
ago.
keep track if we can't see it visually?
You know what? Whatever. I'm just gonna say it. For me, my number 5 is Sarah Connor, and my 6 is Dutch. So this was easy for me. I don't like the big, bulky, shoot 'em up, bang all the. I don't care. I really don't. They're not my type of action hero that I lean towards. So Dutch was always my 6. I'm pretty sure he was my 6 in the 80s. He's my 6 now. And Andy said it for Sarah Connor. She's a bad mother. She's kind of crazy. She almost kills one of the only black people in the entire first couple of movies. No. Just no. Sarah Connor is dope, but she was definitely in the bottom 2 at all times. So next up. Oh, go ahead, Sam. Go ahead.
I want to piggyback just because those are my exact same.
Exactly.
Okay.
There you
5
go.
and 6. Sarah Connor in number 5 because unstable. She's just unstable. I can't trust her. I don't know what her next. She's as unpredictable an action hero as there has ever been. And also, let's not forget, she would have been dead like 35 times if not for Kyle Reese and then the T was it T-800? Yeah. So needed a lot of help. And number 6, Dutch, I'm going to tell you why. This was the easiest one I've ever had of all time. Because when you sent me the list to be ranked, Rue, I was like, Dutch Dooley? The Ed O'Neill character from the film Dutch?
Yes.
And so, of course, it took me an extra 30 seconds to realize, oh, no, of course, he means Dutch from Predator. But the fact that there was even a moment of confusion. There is no questioning who Sarah Connor is. No questioning who Ethan Hunt is. No questioning who the bride is. You just wrote Dutch, and I went, Ed O'Neill? So right there, you're out.
Okay.
You're out. He needs better branding.
You can say this, but this wasn't my fault. StreamYard's not working. Leave me be. Dan, who were your 5 and 6?
My 5 and 6 were my number 5 was Dutch. Just because
for the exact same reasons I just gave.
Well, no, I love Dutch, and Predator is one of my favorite movies, and I would have actually advocated for him in the 80s bracket. But it's just a competition. Competition's difficult. One movie and all of that. Now I'm gonna get ready for Sam to book a flight and come strangle me.
Oh boy!
Because
I know
again, this had to go to some tiebreakers. My number 6 was John McClane, and I will tell you why. And I will tell you why. It's because looking at the movies, the Die Hard films, there's one great movie. There's another one that's pretty good. There's another one that's fine. And then there are two that are really just not very good at all.
With a Vengeance is incredible. I'm sorry.
Like the fifth Die Hard movie is easily, I think, the worst movie in any of these respective franchises that we're talking about. And so I had to just go with looking at all of the movies in totality. I think that the franchise Die Hard, quality-wise, is the least consistent of all of these different ones, and in a very close race, that ended up being the tiebreaker for me. So I have McClane last. Yes.
All right. A Good Day to Die Hard or Terminator Jenny Smith?
Well, I mean, again, I don't acknowledge that Emilia Clarke was in a Terminator film.
So you're at least acknowledging A Good Day to Die Hard, but you are not even acknowledging Genesis.
Well, because Bruce Willis plays John McClane, and when I think Sarah Connor, I think Linda Hamilton is Sarah Connor. If someone else had played John McClane, if they'd made that Year One movie, then maybe we would have had a discussion here. But thank goodness they didn't make that Year One movie, and they better not make it. Even if you're gonna if we're gonna count it and wash Genesis out with Good Day to Die Hard, Live Free or Die Hard it's fine. Die Hard 2.
Die Hard with a Vengeance is solid.
It's amazing.
Die Hard with a Vengeance is amazing.
I love Die Hard with a Vengeance.
And Die Hard is amazing. Like it's but I don't think John McClane was ever as cool or ever as the odds were never against him as much as they were, and he was never as relatable as he was in Die Hard 2. Not Die Hard 2, Die Hard as well. That's another thing, is I think that the John McClane that we all think of is like 80% Die Hard. And then we kind of forget the character past that first film, in my personal opinion.
Paige, you got something to say?
I do, because I actually have the same exact 5 and 6 as our good old friend Dan Murrell. And for me, I mean, hate on me all you want, guys, but John McClane, I mean, maybe I have a thing against like I don't want to say buddy cop, because he's not a buddy cop film, but like cops being the action heroes. Like, I don't know. To me, the list that we were given with these characters, to me, he ranks the lowest, as he would get his ass kicked first out of all of these characters. And Amarú just wants to hear me speak and just
I do
because
I don't believe any of what you're saying, but it's okay.
No, he definitely would. I mean, whose ass could he kick on this list? Thank you.
Maybe you're right.
Okay.
Yeah,
what? Most of them.
Nonsense, my friend. Nonsense. Oh. And for Dutch, I mean, he only had one movie, so that's why he gets that's where he is where he is. So.
Jeannine, what about you? Who are your 5 and 6?
Well, I'm probably gonna get some hate, but my 5 is The Bride. My 6 is John Wick. I love
my gosh.
John.
Wow.
I had no idea how much Jeannine hated swords.
John Wick is literally the character on this list that I love the most. I'm endeared to the most. But I mean, as mentioned, both of these characters are not heroes, essentially. They are out for vengeance. Their motivations are selfish, 100% justified, but selfish. So, they're not inherently heroes. So they're kind of on the same level for me, but the only reason I put John Wick last is because he's so respected. He has people step up to help him and causes the most collateral damage. The people who end up helping him, good people who want to support him, end up getting killed, getting hurt, getting put in bad positions because of him. So he has caused collateral damage with his actions, whereas the Bride, she's kind of only pinpointing specific people. So because they're not essentially heroes, and because John Wick kind of leaves a lot of collateral damage of quote unquote good guys in his wake, that's what puts him in the bottom for me. They're very cool. They are awesome characters. I love them, but
and Andy, what about you, sir?
Okay. All right. We're in good company here. Okay, my number 5 is John McClane. A New York cop with an itchy trigger finger. No thanks. I'm good. Don't need to see any more of it. Thank you very much.
An itchy
I'm
trigger
good.
finger?
Itchy.
That is a quote from the movie, right? But
No, it is not.
yeah.
No,
But-
you're misquoting Die Hard 3, misquoting it. And he says, a bomb blows up in Harlem today. Tomorrow we got 1,000 cops, all of them with itchy trigger fingers.
Itchy trigger fingers.
That is what is said to him by
Sam Jackson.
Okay, I'm gonna
5 points to Samm Levine for the quote.
I'm gonna consider him one of the 1,000. Anyway, so what? Basically, yeah, the movies are getting worse and worse. I do not need to see it anymore. If you are advocating for John McClane to be the one that you save on this list, to consider then removing all of these from existence and keeping that one for why? What the point? What's the point? It just doesn't need to happen anymore. I'm good. I've seen it. I'm done. So and for the exact same reason as that, my number 6 is John Wick. I don't need to see anymore. I get it. I understand. I've seen it now. He did go on event. The love of a dog is beautiful, redeeming factor, but still number 6. But there's a particular reason why. I was watching 4, and just speed up your dialogue. It's doing my head in. So there's a moment where he approaches Winston at the outdoor tombs, and his first line to Winston is, "My condolences." Speed up, dude. If I was the director, I would be like, cut, go again. What the are you all right? What is
And
going
why did that
on
guy
here?
die? Because of him.
I would just be wondering if he's okay. Why are you talking so slowly? Get on with it.
That's why he doesn't talk.
Also, yeah, exactly. He says, like, what you say, 30 words in 4
About 30
movies.
words in
Because
4
Yeah,
movies.
because he talks so slowly, they take forever to get out of his mouth. It's really annoying to me. So yeah, I don't have just way too much guns in both of these guys for me. And yeah, it's a feeling. I just didn't. When it came to, like I said, this was a bottom 3, top 3, and so my bottom 3 are Dutch, John McClane, and John Wick. And it came down to, would I be intrigued to see any of these again? And I just don't want to see John Wick or John McClane again. I'm good. I get it.
Well, if we look at who people saved, at least 1 got John Wick and 2 got John McClane. Well, the rest of us have Ethan Hunt. So let's rip the rest of the Band-Aid off. I feel like Ethan Hunt is the greatest action hero of all time. I really do. I just am. I feel like he is the most interesting. Again, the whole team aspect for me is just, it actually benefits him more than others. The amount of things that he gets to do. I know some people like to say, "Oh, Tom Cruise does his own stunts," but so that makes it like the character more interesting. It's not necessarily that. It's the stunts are interesting as hell in general. Like, I am forever wanting to go back and see Ethan Hunt again and again and again, and I think he's cool as hell. And for me, it brings his team with him. So I love the team. So it was very, very close. I did have the bride second because I just think she's the most badass woman put on screen, maybe period. At least one of the top ones for me. So, but I have Ethan. But everybody else, how about y'all?
What are we talking about? Is it number 1?
We are talking about number 1. Dan, you are on
us top row. Yeah, us top row both have the same ones, guys.
Yeah. Dan, you are on an island on your own, so I'll give you a little bit of time because you're the only one with John Wick and you're the only one by yourself. So go ahead, sir. Get your time.
I'll try to keep this short because I've been picking up ahead of steam because everybody's dumping on John Wick this whole time, and I'm sitting here knowing, well, he's my number 1, and I'll tell you why he's my number 1. I understand the stakes and everything else. That was one element that I looked at that was going to knock it down the list a little bit for me. But for me, really, the reason he's number 1, first of all, the whole thing with the Continental, the whole franchise is predicated on the idea that the Continental is supposed to be a safe place, but is not. That's the whole thing. It always gets attacked or someone gets killed or it's supposed to be safe and it's not safe. So this whole thing of like, it's a safe haven. Not so much. No. Yes, I understand. He gets guns and armor and stuff like that, but it's the sheer this is why I went with John Wick. Number 1, sheer endurance, just grit and powering through. And the fact that he is just a man. Yes, he's got suits and stuff, but this guy gets hurt. This guy gets messed up bad, and he just keeps going. He gets kicked down steps like 3 times. He just keeps coming. It's that endurance. And why is he doing it? And I almost kind of turned the whole thing in my head around it as far as like, well, the stakes have to be big in order for this guy to be number one. And then I thought about it, and I'm like, the reason that I like John Wick so much is because the stakes aren't big. Because when you break it down, why is John Wick doing what he's doing? He's doing it on the principle of the matter. He's doing it to like prove that like this is a world where good and evil are a thing. And if you do a bad thing, then you're going to get punished. You know, he could have just said, oh, you know, somebody, they did whatever. He's like, no, like I am coming after you because you killed my dog and took my car. And that's enough for me. And it's just like, if you would have just left the guy alone, he would have been fine. But it's the fact that he is like fighting for the principle of the matter. And maybe it's just me and my own self and my own frustrations. But like, I like a guy who I can relate to who's just like, no, I'm coming after you because like somebody in this world has to show you that if you're an asshole, that somebody's going to call you on it. And that's going to be me. I'm going to be that guy. And so I love John Wick. I love all, and that's the thing. I love all 4 movies. All 4 movies I love.
They're great.
And I can't say that about any of the other franchises, that I love all of the movies in those franchises. So that's why John Wick is number 1 for me.
Nice. I feel like he brings a lot of the problems on himself. Maybe.
It's
Right?
it's
not like
Andy.
it's not.
It's
it's
because
not
he has
hero-
a code. He's a man who lives by a code.
Angelica Houston in trouble. He gets Halle Berry potentially in trouble. He gets Lance Reddick killed. He gets Willem Dafoe killed. All these people who step up to protect him and help him all get killed.
He's the Forrest Gump of action heroes. You
I was
get
gonna
close
say-
to
I was
him,
gonna
you
say Forrest
die.
Gump.
Yeah, it's their choice. And the reason that they all fight for him is because he's a good man. He's a good man, and they will give up their lives to help him and protect him. That is the sign of a good person.
But he's
A
only
good person
saving.
who was formerly a contract killer.
Well, and he would have retired, but they just couldn't leave well enough
But
alone.
the job he was retiring from, you have no problem with?
Well, you know, I mean, listen, I don't know if we want to dig too much into the history of some of these other characters either. I mean, what was the bride?
Just this one, who's your number
You know
one.
what?
That's all
The
I'm
bride
asking.
What
is.
was the bride?
I mean, the title of this is action
The trained
hero.
assassin. Do we want to look up John McClane's cop files? A New York cop in the 1980s?
Well, if we had seen
Sam?
that
Do we
year
wanna
one
dig
movie,
too far into that
He
case history?
was serving a big fat suspension, but that was for subordination.
Uh-huh.
When we get that
Insubordination.
John McClane year 1 movie, all will be
Yeah.
revealed.
Yeah.
What did Sarah Connor do? You know, she was living off the grid. She's an attempted murderer. At least she may have had a body count. We don't know. Going into Terminator, like none of these people. I mean, Dutch was that whole operation was illegal. That team was completely illegally in another country doing an off the books secret operation. Same with Ethan Hunt. None of these people are clean. None of these people live clean lives.
But Ethan Hunt has saved the earth. God
Dutch
knows
is
how
part of
many
a
times.
rescue team.
And
didn't know
how
what
many
he was
people
doing.
has
He
Ethan
got
Hunt also
betrayed.
gotten killed? It's all about the
He
truth.
has. I was gonna say even though he's my number 1, he has gotten a lot of women killed and a lot of people killed in general. So yeah.
Okay, But guess what, guys? He really doesn't try to kill people, though. I mean, he does do some killing, but he tries to bring justice.
I would argue he did. I don't know. Are we okay to spoil? People seen Dead Reckoning already?
If you haven't
probably-
seen Dead Reckoning, just step away in like 5, 4, mute now, 3, 2, 1. Go ahead.
He doesn't get Ilsa killed. He does everything to get her out of the game over and over and over again. And the look she gives him in the van when he gets in with Benji in Vienna, he gets in the van with Benji and Luther in Vienna, and he sees that she's in the passenger seat. She smiles at him like, "I know you told me to stay away, but I can't
Yeah,
help it."
like she made the choice as well. And same with Carrie Russell. She was on her own mission. He had nothing to do with that.
Yes.
But the people that elected to help John Wick should be blamed, or John Wick should be blamed for their deaths. I see how it is. It's a
Well,
double
I mean,
standard.
some people,
I call it a double standard.
the people he went to for help, I think it's him kind of putting them in that situation.
Yeah, by
there were
him
some people,
approaching them at
there were
all.
some, yes, there were some people who helped on their own accord, like Willem Dafoe, but there were others who he went to and asked them for help and put them in that situation.
I mean, he almost got Winston fired.
In this economy.
Yeah, I mean that's rough. That's rough.
Why do you guys have John McClane? Why is John?
I don't know John McClane. John McClane
you guys
is
do. I meant to
definitely
add
not
the
there.
L. I'm gonna add the L right now.
Yes, John McClane
Why is he?
He's my number one because he's essentially like the pseudo. He's like the pseudo Ginger Rogers of action. He did all the shit all these other people did barefoot. Like he is a regular guy. He doesn't have all this crazy training like all these other people, thrown into this unexpected situation and steps the hell up to save all of these people. He's in it to save these people. That's his main goal.
Yep.
100% hero. We're talking action hero. He does all of this to be a hero, to save these people.
So
in a situation that he was not equipped for, prepared for, he had to use brains and brawn, put them together to figure out how to get out of this situation.
See, if I have everyone on this list, I feel like, I mean, that's why he's my number 6, because I don't want, like, out of everyone, I want Ethan Hunt saving my ass. Can I rely on
It's cooler to me that he doesn't have all this crazy training, but he still managed to do what he was able to do.
You don't get injected with training. That's a lot of hard work. That's a lot of hours, to get that good at lip reading Russian.
I'm not saying that it wasn't hard for that.
I need to go through my criteria because I'm confused about people that don't have Ethan as their number 1. Are you resigned to not seeing part 2 of Dead Reckoning? Is that the consensus? Because that's what you're signing up to.
I disagree with that take on why he's not number 1. That's a bad take.
It's not why he's my number 1, but that is a criteria of the show itself. That is gone.
That is an unfortunate truth here.
That's a truth here. So can I ever rewatch Predator again?
You never get to rewatch Predator again.
Never get to rewatch Predator again. No,
you'll have to.
Never ask me on this show again. You've cost me so many movies that I can no longer enjoy.
Luckily, in about 10 minutes,
Sam,
all that's gone away now, so it's fine.
Andy, you have to know at this point, this is a Sophie's Choice that Rue puts us in every time. Okay?
Yeah, there are so many dead babies. I don't care. I have to see how this turns out. I need to see more of Ethan. I need to see more of the team. I'm going to tell you, there are a lot of muscle showing off in this list. I'm going to tell you about. I'm sure you all recognize the moment in MI3 during the "Where is the White Rabbit" 10-second countdown. Ethan recalibrates his brain and you can see him start to calculate. Right, I've got 10 seconds. Do I threaten this guy? Do I plead with him? Do I bargain? And he does this recalibration in his head that results in his arms shaking out. And JJ does a wide, so you can see the framing of it. Owen Davian stood over Julia, and with Ethan in this dentist chair locked in. And Ethan, instead of being tensed up, and if you've seen any episode of Saved by the Bell, AC Slater walks around with things in his hands so he can have his arms tensed at literally every single moment. The same with Vin Diesel on any talk show, leans forward, arms tensed, because he's got beneath the muscles, he's nobody. But Ethan sits there with his arms loose, with a black t-shirt that rides his muscles, and he arms loose and he shakes it off and he lets his tricep wobble. And in that moment where he let his tricep wobble, I went, that is a man. That's a vulnerable man. He lets himself show all his vulnerabilities, because you shouldn't. I've got lovely big calves because I used to play football. I wouldn't let my wife see my calf wobble.
Many vulnerabilities.
No, but not tricep wobbling. Let's stay on track. So, the other moment there are a few moments with. We know how films are made. Most of us, I'm assuming all of us know how movies are made. So we know that when Ethan's looking at the blue glue red dead gloves as he's about to step out of the Burj, and he's looking at his gloves and he is completely disengaged with everyone in the room, and Brand says to him, "Com check," and Ethan just puts his hand to his ear and just nods, because he's focused on what he has to do, and he's terrified. But we know, because of how movies are made, that he probably didn't film that scene the same month that he filmed the Burj Khalifa. So it's not Tom Cruise being apprehensive and fearful. It's him putting it into the character. So Ethan is showing genuine, terrified fear about having to leave this building. When they were filming it, he wasn't having to do that right then. I think that's incredible that Tom gives those little nuances, those little micro movements in his body that show you how scared he is. The other one, he's about to jump into the water and do the 4-minute dive. He looks genuinely scared. I feel scared for him. That is a vulnerability that I want to see in a modern hero. That I don't want to see people that are just so good at what they do that they can smirk and provoke. And John McClane provokes people. John Wick provokes people. I don't want to see you provoke people. I want to see you have to do what you need to do in order to save the world, and that's it. Don't piss about. Don't fuck about. This is serious stakes. Don't put people in bodies in elevators with signs on it. You're being an asshole for no reason, really. Just do what you need to do. And if there's fear and emotion in you, then show it, please. That would be beautiful. And he does. And I think that's an amazing trait.
That was a lovely soliloquy. It really sounds like you are making this choice based on, of the 6, who is the actual strongest actor playing the role?
No, that's why I'm saying that it wasn't Tom Cruise. It was Ethan's fear. That's why I'm saying it's Ethan's fear that we're seeing. I want to see my hero show fear when there's something very, very scary about to happen. I want to see that. I think it's a way of getting through the screen and with them and understanding that you're in this. And talking about, I've seen every Mission movie since 4 on the BFI IMAX in the middle of Waterloo. And during lockdown, Anna and I watched them all. She hadn't seen any of them, and then she had a big binge and absolutely fell in love with it all. So Dead Reckoning is the first Mission movie that she got to see at the cinemas with me for the first time. And she was crying because of how much joy she felt towards it. You just can't steal that kind of experience away. Your wife just falling for something that you love as well. And obviously this is, a subjective list, and we have to pick what suits us, but you cannot take away from me the idea that my wife and I get to, in a couple of years, do that again. So, and then I get to share it with my son as well. So just lean on that.
That is very, very true. So Dan, just to make sure you get a final recap, you did have Ethan at number 2. So anything you want to add to that? Any more about John Wick and just this list in general?
No, I just want to add that my favorite, and there was a very heartfelt thing at the end there, Andy, and I love that. But my favorite part of your speech is that in the middle of it, and in a very English way, you uttered the most devastating put down to Vin Diesel that I've ever heard in my life. Like, I think if you were to walk up to Vin Diesel and just say, "You're nobody beneath those muscles," he would just dissolve into a pile of.
He would, like, and that's my point. He would stand there. He would grab something so that his arms are tensed. He would pick up a folder and go, "Oh, you got me. You know me."
But
so
that's
well.
why Groot's not on this list.
Yes. I can tell you that I know from experience that Vin Diesel once showed up to a junket for a Fast and the Furious movie 3 hours late with his own hype man playing Vin Diesel hype music. And walked around through everyone else's interview, like going like, "Yeah, let's go." All of his other cast members that had been doing interviews for 3 hours and covering for him while he wasn't there. So, I think there's a reason that Dom was not on this list.
He didn't make it very far at all. Not one bit.
No.
But yeah, Dan, you had Ethan at number 2, and just any final things before Sam. You got one more thing before that, though.
No, I just wanted to add to Andy his very sentimental thing about seeing Dead Reckoning Part 2 and all that. That's very convenient for you to pick. The other 5 people aren't making movies anymore.
Well, the bride might show up again.
No. They've been very clear about that.
Okay. Well, look.
Don't get our hopes up, Sam. We know you know Quentin.
It's not happening. You're not going to see the bride again.
So essentially what you're saying is the potential of another movie being made is only on one of these, and you didn't put that one as number 1. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. Blocking cinema.
That's weird. You conveniently chose the only one that you're going to get a new movie of.
It's not convenient. It's one of my criteria. Who would I want to see more of?
I was honestly looking out for Tom Cruise's well-being. I just don't think he should put himself through another one. I don't know if he can. I don't know how he can escalate from where he has been. So, it was really just kind of preservation of Cruise there also.
Yeah, excellent.
I'm curious, what's everyone else's number 2? Because
I also had Ethan. I also had Ethan as number 2, and the only thing that put him at number 2 was kind of my team criteria of the fact that he does have a lot of help. While he is kind of the lead, and he does a lot of crazy things and really thinks on his feet really well, he really needs his team to back him up. But I loved in Dead Reckoning how they really drove the point at how important it is that he is willing to give up his own life for the greater good to save whoever he needs to save, whether they know it that he's saving them or not. He's always putting his life on the line. I loved when, you know, he told I'm blanking on her name, Grace, that, you know, I will, you know, give up my life to make sure that you make it. Like when he really, you know, he barely knew her, but the fact that her life meant more to him than his own. And they really made a point to drive that point home, that this is who this person is. And that is what he, you know, why he joined IMF, is because he cares about saving people, saving lives, the greater good. So that's what put him at my number 2. The only reason he was not my number 1 was because, you know, he doesn't always stand on his own. He needs his backing of his team. So,
Did you read, by the way, that Grace did not have a name until halfway through shooting the movie? Literally, they said that they shot at least all of the Rome chase scene with Haley Atwell. They shot with her for weeks, and they had not named her character.
Well, because they play it like Grace is not even her name, because she's like, well, let's just say I'm Grace, and then that ended up being her name.
What do you think they wrote on the call sheet?
She was literally cast as female lead of Mission Impossible movie, and like halfway through, they're like, Grace.
There we go. Paige, what about you? Your number 2 was The Bride. Final thoughts on her, final thoughts on the list in general.
I mean, this was a very hard list to make. Because like any given day, there could be different reasoning why each person on this list could be number 1. But for me, I had The Bride at number 2 and not number 1, because at the end, she is just getting revenge, but she's getting revenge for herself, because she was wronged by so many people, like her family and her friends. And a woman going to save her child. Well, I can't. Did she know she had a child? I can't remember.
No, she finds
she
out.
did not know the baby survived.
Yeah.
Okay,
but until later.
Guess what, guys? This woman came back from the dead. She dug herself out of a grave. Like, that's a badass woman right there, and she is one of the greatest like cinematic like female characters like ever. And I love what Quentin Tarantino does with his female characters, because I feel like he makes them so powerful and strong. And I feel like he gets a lot of hate sometimes for his female characters, but I feel like he makes them so strong and powerful and so badass. And The Bride is one of the most badass women to ever hit the screen. And if she was actually saving more people than just getting revenge on herself, she may have been my number 1. But Ethan Hunt, he's the American version of James Bond. He's got all these cool gadgets, and he's out there saving the world, doing what he can, putting his life on the line for everyone else. So for me, that's where I stand. Who knew? Who knows? Tomorrow may change if I have a different requisition I'm going by. But today, Ethan Hunt is the one I want saving me at the end of the day.
Sam, you agree that The Bride is number 2 for you. So give us your thoughts on that, on why, again, that McClane is number 1 in the list in general.
All right. Bride is number 2 for so much of the reasons that Paige just said. 5-point palm exploding heart technique. She crawled out of the grave. I'd like to see John Wick do a 1-inch punch to crawl out of being buried 6 feet under. He might. Well, we didn't see it.
I think he might.
We didn't see it. We're speculating.
We didn't, though. We didn't.
And
we'll wait till 5.
and also there's the duality of the bride. Once she learns that she does in fact have a daughter, and she wants to be a mama bear to this daughter, does not stop the fact that she's also a killer and has to murder everyone who was so close to her, her tightest inner circle. They wronged her, and she's got to right that and then be a mama bear. And seeing that duality for me makes her my number 2. But of course, number 1 with a bullet, John McClane, for so many reasons. But I'm going to give you the reason to end all reasons why anyone who doesn't say John McClane is wrong. And here's what it is. In 35 years now that Die Hard has been a movie, every time a new action movie or genre comes out, how do they describe it? They say, oh, it's Die Hard on a plane. Oh, it's Die Hard on a bus. Oh, it's Die Hard on a beach. Nobody's saying, oh, it's Terminator in space. Nobody says, oh, it's John Wick, but with, foot fighting. No. It's Die Hard on a blank.
That is very true. That is true.
Cadillac of action movies,
100%.
and John McClane is the Cadillac of action heroes. And for the record, to my knowledge, going over this list, he is the only married and divorced member of this list.
Ethan.
Did they ever actually get married?
Well, she got remarried.
They
Yeah, they
did
got
get
married in
married.
MI3, and then she got remarried, so they're definitely divorced.
Right, so they're definitely divorced. But
Wes
anyway,
Bentley.
but they didn't get divorced because there was animosity. They got divorced because of safety issues.
Yes.
So
The bride almost got married.
His marriage failed. His marriage failed, and he's got these 2 kids who fucking hate him. Okay? And so he's got so much to deal with in his personal life. Everyone else has a pretty solid personal life, except for poor John McClane. So he's not just out there fighting bad guys, he's also fighting his ex-wife, his kids who hate him, the fact that he's getting suspended from the force for insubordination. He's got a lot going on, and in spite of all of that, he still saves the day every time. And the only people close to John McClane who die, Ellis, for being an idiot. And
he did that.
That was not John's fault. That was Ellis's fault. And that poor plane load of people who die in Die Hard 2, but that was not his fault. He tried valiantly to save them. They died because the guys in the tower tried to get clever after McClane told them not to. He told them how serious these guys were, and nobody listened. That's why they died.
Yes, Wick, very famous for having a drama-free personal life.
Very true. And then
it's a very healthy, non-tragic personal life. He's not dealing with anything either.
No. Nothing at all. Nothing at all. Dan, you are the only one with Wick. You also had Ethan at number 2. Give us your final thoughts on the list and everything in general.
Oh, I've said more than my piece. Like I said, this is a battle of attrition. You could mix up all of those. It brought out the movie fights in me. You could mix out any of those names and give me another number 1, and I could probably fight just as hard for them. That's the trouble when you have great characters. That's why we always like to fight over the worst things on movie fights and not the best things on movie fights, because those fights are more fun. Not that this wasn't fun, but it's easier to try to, you can really hit hard at things that suck. It's hard for things that are great. So, it's always a good time.
It's very true. But I always love the passion that comes out. So Andy, with all the passion that you always bring, which is why I always love having you back. Give us your final thoughts on the list. You had the bride at number 2. You had Ethan at number 1. Give us your final thoughts, sir. There it is.
There we go.
Yeah, I've said my bit about Ethan, even though, I mean, if I was to pull on stuff that was said earlier, let me see. Sarah Connor needs to be talked off ledges. Ethan gets talked onto them. That was it. Yeah, I did have the bride. I do have a little soundbite for the bride as well, if you'll indulge me. Hold on one sec.
Love it.
I mean, this keyboard can do anything. No, I did have the bride at number 2. One of my criteria that we hadn't talked about yet, and we haven't really discussed it at all, was the evilness of the villain. And from my experience, the ones that have scared me the most have been the human villains, the ones that won't go blow for blow with you, but they'll outthink you. And those are scarier to me. Owen Davey and Solomon Lane are very, very scary to me. And Bill is a terrifying villain, and it's mostly because of the mystery. He's kind of the shark in the first half of Jaws, where you don't really know anything about him. He's freaky. I feel like the Terminator in the first Terminator is more like the shark at the end of Jaws, where he's just jumping on the boat, and you see a lot of him. But I just feel like Bill is. I don't think if I saw the actor in another movie that I couldn't get Bill. I couldn't shake it. I feel like he really made an impact, which makes me have more respect for Beatrix. And yeah, Sam's point about her turning on mother mode, she's so lovely and motherly, maternal, and then has the assassin thing ready. It is this duality thing. I really love that point. That I hadn't thought of. That's all credit to Sam for that. But yeah, so yeah, Beatrix was my number 2, Ethan number 1. Yeah, I just feel like that's how I feel about it. And also Sam did give me heat for hinging my Ethan argument on the actor responsible. And he said his argument to end all arguments was based on log lines of films that aren't even in the franchise.
It's not a log line. It's what society's taken away from it.
That's true.
Also, I don't know, when was the last time a Die Hard with thing has been used?
I described it before I got on this Zoom. I was like, it's the Die Hard.
To back up your argument that
go.
you were coming in with.
Exactly.
No, all good, all good. I have to say, excellent stuff. There's nothing that I would rather stay up until, what are we talking, like half 2 for? Unbelievable. Everyone really brought their I know this isn't my part of the show. I'm going to pass it off, but it was a lot of fun.
Go ahead. I
Andy's subtle dig to remind you of how late it's getting where he is.
No. It's actually a reminder of how much fun I'm having, and I don't care. I don't, whatever. I think me and Ezra are going to get up and watch Mission Impossible in a second.
Perfect. Some folks in the chat put in their list. We did have some John McClane love here from Jeremy. Nick, I don't know if he did that just to agree with Dan or not, but he also had Wick at number 1.
Why would Randy it be just to agree with me?
Because he's the one who wanted you on the show.
Awesome.
He is awesome. William agreed with having McClane and Cam because they're old. Had Tiracana at number 1 there. But we are here for a tournament, so we do have to figure out who actually wins this whole thing. And as you saw earlier, I had a whole PowerPoint and everything that I wanted to show, but I can't right now. So I'm just going to at least explain it to you and let you know who the winner is. The way it works is if you get a third place vote, you get 1 point. If you get a second place vote, you get 3 points. And if you get a first place vote, you get 5 points. So Dutch, with his 1 third place vote, had a total of 1. Sarah Connor got 2 third places, so she got a total of 2. John Wick had a first place and 3 third places, so he has a total of 8. McClane got the 2 first place votes from Jeannine and Sam, so he got 10, very respectable. The Bride had a lot of second places, lots of second places. Got 4 of them. It got her 12 points. But in the end, with 3 first places, 2 second places, and a total of 21 points, the action hero that is saved among them all. We have found the one that has to stay, and it is Mr. Hunt. But I'd like to thank all of my panelists. Thank you so much for coming on for a slightly longer show. I do appreciate it. There's a bit of a slaughter, only a little bit. It got close though. It got very close because Jeannine actually had Bride at number 1. I was like, oh crap, those second places might have had it, but she did it. She did not. But again, I want to thank everybody here. Andy, please let people know where they can find you and what you got going on in your life.
Okay, great. Yeah, I feel like we all need to go and see Dead Reckoning Part 2 together and do the tricep wobble. Okay. Yeah, you can find me playing movie scores and soundtracks at Settle the Score. If you look for Settle the Score Matt Nost or Matt Nost on YouTube, you'll find it there. On socials, I'm STS_Andy M. And yeah, come and chat and tell me how wrong I was. Thank you.
Dan, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate you so much bringing your movie fights expertise. Please let people know where they can find you, what you got going on in your life.
YouTube.com/Dan Murrell Movies. That's where I do my show. I'm on Patreon. I am on Threads. I briefly flirted with TikTok. I'm not sure how that's going to turn out. Not on Twitter though. No more @MurrellDan on Twitter. I gave that up. There's also no Twitter anymore, so it's a good time. And hopefully
this X nonsense.
Hopefully on Settle the Score again soon because I owe Matt a long overdue email to come back on the show because I always have a great time there.
Thank you. That is very true. As do I. Jeannine, let the people know what's going on with your life when they can find you.
You can find me at Jeannine Brice on TikTok, Instagram, and Threads. Please check out the It's a Wonderful podcast feed. We have our shows over there. Monday Madness, it's our YouTube show where we talk all kinds of topical things. We have Morgan Hasn't Seen It every Wednesday, where I force him to watch things he hasn't seen. And every Friday we have our classic films podcast, It's a Wonderful Podcast. So check that out on the It's a Wonderful podcast feed. We also have the It's a Wonderful Podcast YouTube channel with a lot of fun things over there as well. So check it out.
And last but certainly not least, my manager, one Mr. Samm Levine. Thank you as always, sir. Let the people know what's going on in your life, where they can find you.
My pleasure to be here. You can find me at Samm Levine with 2 M's on all the major socials. You don't need me to list them. You know what they are. And I have, some TV stuff and other things to promote, but not now. Not talking about that nonsense now. Until a fair deal's been reached. So, if you are genuinely curious, follow me on the socials. And if and when I can talk about that stuff, that's where I'll be posting about.
Please do support the writer strike, the Screen Actors Guild strike. Go see movies still. They want you to do that.
Yes,
please go do
see
that.
Movies, watch shows, because there's a finite amount in the can, as they say. And we want the numbers to be good and strong. So if we get to a point where there's nothing left in the can, then they know, oh, right, we have to pay these people to keep creating this content that everybody wants to watch and enjoy.
Yeah. Briefly, if I could plug something quickly,
Yes.
Also, the Entertainment Community Fund is something that SAG-AFTRA has their own fund to help striking actors, which is wonderful. The Entertainment Community Fund is also something that I've been talking about on my channel. It exists to help support people in all areas of the arts, not just acting, but also writing, and people that work below the line. People that are, part of crews that might be out of work, that are in severe financial hardship. And so I'm donating a portion of my ad rev for the duration of the strike to the Entertainment Community Fund. Seth MacFarlane just made I think $1 million donation to it today or yesterday. The news came out. So if you're looking for a way to support the strikes, in addition to kind of elevating, just getting the word out about it, that's also a way. And you can check them out, Entertainment Community Fund.
Please do support all those. Keep supporting Bitesize Breakdown. I've been doing this 6 episodes in 7 weeks. I'm taking a break. So when we'll be back, Thank you all. I appreciate it. For Paige, for Andy, for Dan, for Jeannine, and Sam, we are out of here.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.